They've been talking about it for months, but now it's finally becoming real. A $1,400 boost is on the table, and the exact payment date is closer than you think. If you rely on Social Security, SSI, SSDI, or veterans benefits, what's about to happen in August could make a meaningful difference in your budget. And in the middle of rising costs for groceries, utilities, and healthcare, that's the kind of news no one can afford to ignore. Here's the reality. In Washington, there's always noise. Proposals get floated, rumors swirl online, and sometimes people get their hopes up only to be let down. But this time, the pieces are coming together. The Social Security Administration's payment calendar is set. The Treasury Department has confirmed certain deposit timelines. And if you know how to read the official updates, you can already see the signs pointing toward the $1,400 payment many have been waiting for. This isn't just about one check. It's about stability, security, and knowing you can cover the essentials without that knot of worry in your stomach. For many Americans on fixed incomes, a payment like this means being able to fill prescriptions without juggling bills, or finally getting ahead on rent instead of constantly playing catch-up. And yes, while the internet is full of false promises and clickbait headlines, this is the moment to separate fact from fiction and see exactly what's real, what's coming, and when you can expect it. In just a moment, we're going to break down the August payment schedule, who qualifies for this $1,400, how the SSA handles deposit timing for different benefit programs, and what you can do to make sure your payment lands exactly when it should. We'll also talk about what this means for the rest of 2025, because this isn't just a one-off deposit. It's part of a larger conversation about cost of living adjustments, benefit increases, and the fight in Congress to keep these programs funded for years to come. So let's cut through the rumors and get straight to the facts, because when it comes to your benefits, there's no room for guesswork. So let's cut through the rumors and get straight to the facts, because when it comes to your benefits, there's no room for guesswork. The truth is, every single month, the Social Security Administration follows a payment calendar that isn't random at all. It's built around specific rules tied to birthdays, benefit programs, and when you first started receiving payments. Most people never look closely at that calendar until a change or a special payment comes along. But this August, knowing how it works could be the difference between waiting longer than you have to and having your money right when you need it. Now, the $1,400 figure has been floating around since the earliest talks of relief in response to rising inflation and the extra strain that's been hitting fixed-income households. The important thing to understand is that this number isn't pulled out of thin air. It's been referenced in multiple proposals tied to cost of living support and economic stimulus aimed at seniors, veterans, and those with disabilities. And while not every proposal makes it through Congress, when you see this specific amount attached to SSA benefits in multiple official discussions, it's worth paying attention. The Treasury Department has already worked with the SSA on how such a payment would be distributed, and August is lining up to be the month where those plans are actually put into action. When we talk about August payments, we're not just looking at a single date circled on the calendar for everyone. The SSA runs a staggered system. If you're receiving SSI, your deposit almost always arrives on the first of the month, unless that day falls on a weekend or federal holiday. SSDI and retirement benefits follow a slightly different rhythm, based on the date of your birth. Then there's a separate schedule for those who have been receiving benefits since before May 1997, which puts their payments earlier in the month. The reason this matters for the $1,400 deposit is that the exact day you see it could depend entirely on which category you fall into. What's interesting about this August is that, according to the preliminary internal timetables circulating in policy discussions, The deposit may actually come alongside your regular payment rather than as a totally separate transaction. That means if you normally get your benefits on, say, the second Wednesday of the month, you might log into your bank account that morning and see a larger amount than usual rather than two separate deposits. This is one of those details that trips people up, because they'll hear the deposit date is August 14th and then panic when they don't see an extra line item. In reality, it's often bundled for efficiency. The SSA and Treasury have said in the past that this method reduces processing errors, which means fewer delays for recipients. There's also the question of who qualifies, and here's where we have to be absolutely clear. The $1,400 isn't a blanket payment to every single person in the country. It's targeted to those already receiving SSA benefits, SSI, SSDI, and VA payments. If you're in one of those categories, your eligibility is tied to your status as of a specific cutoff date, usually the month before the payment is issued. That means if someone applied for SSI in mid-August, they wouldn't see this stimulus in that same month's deposit because their eligibility wouldn't have been processed in time. But if you've been receiving payments steadily, you're in the group being looked at for inclusion. One of the most common concerns I hear is about whether these special deposits get taxed. And while regular SSA benefits can be taxable depending on your overall income, relief or stimulus payments like this are generally not considered taxable income. The IRS has treated them differently in past rounds, and unless something very unusual changes in legislation, that should remain true here. That's important because it means you don't have to worry about setting part of it aside for next April. It's yours to use now when you need it. Now let's talk about why this is happening in August specifically. If you look back over the last several years, you'll notice that relief discussions tend to heat up in the summer months. That's because lawmakers are looking at mid-year economic data, including inflation rates, GDP growth, and employment numbers, and deciding whether targeted support is needed before the holiday season spending surge. This year, the combination of stubbornly high prices in key categories, especially food and energy, and the fact that many seniors' purchasing power has been eroded since the last COLA increase has made August a logical month to act. It allows the payment to flow before fall utility costs start creeping up, and before people face the heavier spending that comes with the end of the year. Another factor in the timing is the SSA's own processing cycle. The agency can't just flip a switch and send millions of extra deposits overnight. There's a lead time to program the payment systems, run quality checks, and coordinate with the Treasury's disbursement network. By locking in August, they've given themselves enough of a runway to avoid the technical glitches that can cause some payments to be delayed or misdirected. And because August doesn't have a major federal holiday disrupting bank schedules, it's one of the cleaner months for rolling out something on this scale. Now, I know some of you are thinking, this all sounds good, but I've heard promises before. And you're right. There have been plenty of announcements over the years that never materialized into actual money in people's accounts. That's why I always tell people to look for two key signs: official confirmation from the SSA or Treasury, and the presence of the payment in the official SSA calendar or my Social Security account portal. When you start seeing both of those line up, you're no longer dealing with speculation, you're dealing with something that's in motion. Right now, we're seeing movement in both of those areas, which is why this August date is getting so much attention. It's also worth noting that veterans' payments are part of this package. Too often, discussions about Social Security relief leave out the VA system, but in this case, the coordination between agencies means that eligible veterans will see the same $1,400 boost. The VA has been working closely with the Treasury to make sure the deposits happen without veterans having to file extra paperwork or request the payment. For many veterans on fixed incomes, that will be a welcome relief, especially given the unique healthcare and living costs they face. If you're wondering how to prepare, the most important thing you can do is make sure your direct deposit information is current. That might sound basic, but every year, thousands of payments are delayed because bank accounts have changed and the SSA doesn't have updated routing details. If you've moved recently or switched banks, log into your My Social Security account or contact the SSA directly to confirm everything is correct. The smoother your account information is, the faster you'll see the payment hit without any hiccups. And while we're talking preparation, I want to address the elephant in the room: scams. Unfortunately, every time there's a widely publicized payment like this, scammers come out of the woodwork. They'll call, email, or send letters claiming to be from the SSA, saying you need to confirm your information to receive your stimulus. That is never how the SSA operates. You will never be asked to pay a fee or provide your full Social Security number over the phone to get your payment. The deposit will come automatically if you're eligible. No action is needed beyond making sure your bank info is current. The bottom line is this: August is shaping up to be a month where millions of Americans see a meaningful boost to their benefits. For some, it will be a moment to catch up on overdue bills. For others, it will be a cushion against the next unexpected expense. And for all, it's a reminder that in a world where prices seem to only go one direction, a little extra breathing room can make all the difference. The key now is staying informed, ignoring the noise, and knowing exactly when and how your payment will arrive so you can put it to work immediately.